Hello everyone, more auction action. Feels like you're there. Feels like you're still there. Oh, it's so nice, why leave? The EL series. I don't think it was one of Cat's crowning achievements running the Mitsubishi line. They did the 206, a 211, a 213, a 212, a 224 rubber tired, or a 214. Just a whole bunch of weird ones. So the originals were E's and then they became ELs. Came out in 85, I think. Yeah, we'll go with 85, 86. Timco was a popular buncher in its day. There's red ones as well. They really prepared this equipment nice for the sale. I know they paint everywhere, but Ritchie's didn't have a yard there. And the co-ring lineup became Timberjack. And the Tangways just seemed to go away. Probably around for, I don't know, it seemed like less than 10 years. They were always featured in the Tracks and Treads magazines, which I have a bunch of, lots of, almost all of them. They're a weird machine, big, big, big. Big bulky things. They had an elephant as their logo. Somewhere in that little circle there was an elephant, I think, holding a log in its tusk, if I recall. That's a goofy heel. That poor stick cylinder, bucket cylinder. That thing would be hurting. Some of them from factory were called 225 LC SA, which was a special application. They came factory rigged up for that. An iMac grapple on a track skidder with the quad link rails. If you'll note, they've split an additional set of rails in half and inside and outside of them, bolted them to the pads. I think it's like a $15,000, $20,000 option to do it. But the science of it makes sense. You go over a stump or hit a corner on a rock or an obstacle or a log, and that those links cannot flex. When they flex the hinge point, each pin and bushing is wearing harder on itself. Those can always stay straight. They never get a side load on them. Don't know how long they lasted. I would guess they'd last 5,000–6,000 hours at least. Neat design. Gotta have a lot of money and foresight though to, it's like putting the band-aid where the cut's gonna be. Most people put it on after. A lot of log trucks listed. That one I think became Octor Trucking. Well, I'm just guessing. That paint scheme looks like the one I've got a video on. And the year is right, 87. What year was it? 96? Yeah. Pretty much at this time, companies went away from company colors. They actually did studies on it, ridiculously, psychological type studies, and found that white was less imposing and less scary, less, I mean, was it Weyerhaeuser, the log trucks? After they bought McMillan Bloedel, the Weyerhaeuser log trucks were all white up here. Yeah, it was written somewhere in Truck Logger magazine, somewhere back 25 years ago. But all the trucks started going to the light color because it wasn't so, just to lay low. Because people don't like logging. Why does that look familiar too? That looks like what became a, I wonder if that was, that one hauled for us. I think that was a, Stan Jones might have bought that. It looks a bit like one, but I could be wrong. Sure cool to see all the pride a guy would have took in his fleet back then. And he'd already been in it 40 years. Everything was painted and striped, personalized, showed that they cared. $1981. Those things must have broke down just weekly, 2–3 times a week. And being out quarter mile back into a cut and blowing a hose, packing in wrenches, going back to your truck, going into town, getting buckets of oil, hoses, having the wrong wrench, coming back out. There must have been guys just in tears back then with that entry level era equipment or technology. That one has ice lugs on the track. You can just see them. It's another thing you never saw in Southwest BC here ever. It never gets cold. That's ugly. Got the Terex Cyclops blade on an International. Doesn't quite add up. Doesn't look old enough to have been a cable machine that somebody retrofitted. It does look like an inside mounted, like for a dozer, a scraper push blade, cushion blade. But the machine almost looks a half a size small for push loading scrapers. TS, those are Terex. Same one started as a Euclid. Same shape. There's a postcard. That's a beautiful picture. Still beautiful. We'll just focus on that. So, country, ranch, logging, timber, backwoods living. Of course, with rough equipment though. Any bet they painted that machine in that spot? You do not want to run a skidder without side panels on it. Particularly so with chains. Heck, I've had stuff come right up into the cab and flick over there and come off the limb risers, and it wakes you up. Man, I haven't seen an R model Mac on the road for I don't remember when. A little bit strange color scheme. And we're good for a bit.